Traders, what's going on? It's Relentless here, and welcome back to another video. So in this one, I'm going to be going over the question that we hear so often, and that's, why is day trading so hard, right? Why do 90% of day traders fail in the markets? I'm going to be addressing that topic. I'm going to be talking about it. I'm going to be going over some of my beliefs behind that ideology there, that concept. I'm going to talk about some of the struggles I had to face and some of the things that I had, issues with getting past, different barriers, that kind of a thing. To jump in and try and dissect this concept, this question, and get to the bottom of it, right? Is trading really as hard as they say? Is it something that people can learn fast? Does it take time? I'm going to address all of that. So for those of you who are new to the channel, I'm Relentless Trader. In terms of footing and ground, right? What gives me the right to be able to speak on this topic, right? For those of you who don't know, I am a profitable trader here in the community. Over the last year, I've been able to do 100% on my account. And my account, of course, was above the PDT level. So I was able to do pretty well over the last year, right? May 1st to May 1st, plus 100% in the account. So for someone who had to start off, who literally started from Robinhood, right? From Robinhood to E-Trade Pro to Thinkorswim, and E-Trade Pro and Thinkorswim, using both of those platforms, being profitable, I feel like I definitely can be able to speak on this topic and give my 2 cents. So here we go, right? What makes day trading so hard, right? Right off the bat, for me, there's a couple of things that I'll look into, which is, number one, discipline, right? Being able to be disciplined, following rules, following directions, and then variables, right? Variables we'll touch on a little later, but first, discipline. As a beginner trader, once you get past that stage of not knowing what your strategy is, not knowing what your niche is in the market, not knowing what you want to do, once you get past all of that, it really comes down to discipline, right? Sometimes trading can be simple, right? Sometimes trading can be simple, but how disciplined are we to follow certain rules, right? Over time, I would say naturally we'll lose money, right, as beginner traders, as we're kind of refining the strategy that we're following, or refining that strategy, making it better for our personalities, because each of us trade a little bit different based off of how aggressive we are, our risk tolerance, all of that different, once again, not to get into it, but the variables. But anyhow, a lot of us will trade similar strategies, but they're a little different based off of our personalities. So once a trader finds that strategy, it takes time to then refine it and build rules around that strategy, right? Make it their own strategy. And so with that being said, sometimes we have those rules and they're near impossible to follow, right? Because we're coming into the market, we have a plan, right? It's like they say in the sports world with boxing, every boxer has a plan until they're punched in the face. And so we come into the market with this plan that we want to follow, and then we get boom, an uppercut, and we have a big loss right at the open. What do you do in that stage, right? What do you do when that happens to you? And so trading, although can be simple, can be very complicated at times, depending on what's going on and certain events and how the events happen, right? So discipline and rules has a huge part to play in this whole concept of trading, right? That's one. Let's go into to bridge off of that. Let's go into screen time, right? Let's talk about screen time and trading. And trading for me, 3 years, right? 3+ years. How does screen time connect to this topic in this conversation? A lot of people, unfortunately, they'll come across ads or these bots, these scammers that we see in the comments and other advertisements that make trading make day trading seem as if it's a get rich kind of a field, right? And it's definitely not the case. some fields are definitely a little bit more lucrative than others, and in terms of how long it'll take you to be successful, be profitable. But um, trading is one of those fields that I think everybody will take a certain amount of time to get better at, right? Now, if we take this back to grade school, right? You're in grade school, you're in let's say a mathematics class, you're in algebra 101, right? There'll be somebody in the class, once the professor writes that equation, that'll understand it right away. There'll be some students that'll have to take a little bit more time. There'll be some students that'll have to go home, practice, study, and then that next day they get the equation, they understand it. So being that we all learn at different pace, and people also have based off of their lives and their responsibilities, some people have more time than others to put into the market, right? So some people learn faster pace, some people have more time to put in. There's, once again, not to get into it too much now, but a lot of variables when it comes to the science behind the market and the reasonings behind it being so tricky to capture the metrics of who's profitable and who's not, and all of that, right? And what makes it so difficult, right? So you have people learning a different pace. So maybe somebody comes into the market in let's say 5 weeks and learns a lot faster than somebody who might take 10 weeks. There's a lot of different things, right? We all can read the same book, the same page, and get a lot of different things out of it. So more than anything, trading takes time, right? It takes screen time, regardless of if you're learning fast or slow, because you have to experience the different cycles in the market. You have to experience different price action, different types of stocks, whether it's mid caps, the lower float stocks, the price range. There's a lot of variables, as you guys will continue to see. The variables will continue to come in and out of the conversation as we go, right? Because trading is one of those fields where there's just a lot of different mechanics, a lot of moving parts that makes it all function. Almost like a human body, right? Like an organism. There's a lot of different things firing off at the same time to have a well-oiled machine, right? So we got discipline, we got screen time, we have, I also would say strategy, right? Because depending on what strategy you're trading, like we mentioned, sometimes it's a little bit unique to what your personality is. Strategy, it also depends on that, because I believe some strategies are more successful than others. There'll be strategies that are a little bit more that has a little bit lower of an accuracy, right, versus strategies that are a little bit more low risk and high accuracy. So for me, I do momentum trading, breakouts, buying the highs, selling higher. Over the last year, or let's say last 3 years, I've definitely seen different markets, different kind of markets, right, where it'll work really well, and then markets where it's not going to work so well, right? So market sentiment is also part of why trading is so difficult, right? Now, is the market hot for this particular strategy this week and then next week it's not? Is it hot for the entire month, 3 months, the quarter, for your strategy and not mine? So a lot of it is a little subjective in that sense. Once again, the variables, right? The variables make it so difficult to capture data on individual traders. And then, of course, on top of that, a lot of people are not as honest when it comes to broker statements. I mean, the big brokers can see what's going on, but for the most part, they're not really releasing any data in terms of who's profitable, who's not, and that kind of a thing. But strategy definitely plays a part. Another thing is going back to the screen time, right? You'll have somebody who's a beginner trader, and let's take a step back, right? You ask yourself, what is a beginner trader, right? What is a beginner trader? Who is a beginner trader? Because is a beginner trader somebody who's been trading for 1 year, 1 week, 1 month, 1 day? I feel like it's subjective. I mean, in some ways, I feel like I'm still a beginner trader, right? In terms of things that I know I have to learn and can learn to be better. So when you look at beginner traders, right? I would say and then once again, it's so hard, right? If we look at like college, right? College will have the freshman year, the sophomore year, junior, senior. Um, Being that I'm in my third year, right? I would like to think that I could measure it up in that way, where the first year is, of course, your beginner year, your next year, second year in could be a little bit more intermediate. You get a little bit more advanced in that third year. But when you look at beginners and how many people who the statistic that 9 out of 10 traders fail, how are they capturing that metrics, right? Are they looking at people who traded for one day and then never came back to the markets, 1 month, who lost their money and never came back? Or are they looking at people who are trading for 3, 4, 5, 6+ years to know the metrics of those traders after time has passed, right? So there's a lot of variables once again, but you have discipline, strategies, screen time. Another thing is mental state of mind, mental capacity. How are you feeling each and every day coming into the market, right? One of the things that makes trading so hard is that at every single time, like at every point, right, that we're trading, whether it's 1 hour or the entire day, for that duration, we need to be at 100% throughout that time we're trading, right? We need to be at 100%. So how are you feeling mentally, right? That's something that a lot of people don't really talk about. That's a little underrated, right? Are you feeling good to go the distance? Did you have a few losing trades in the early morning that made you frustrated, and so you kind of clouded your judgment and then fell below where you should have been? A lot of different things comes into play when it comes to that subject right there, right? How are you feeling mentally? Certain things, in my opinion, shouldn't be done when it comes to trading. Trading on certain anniversaries of terrible days, let's say a loss in the family, a breakup in a relationship, divorce. That it could be anything, right? Because a lot of us are between the age of, let's say, 22 and I think like 50, 55. So it could be anything, right? Most of us are for the most part young adults and adults who are definitely full swing in all of it, right? So, maybe you could have lost your job recently and you're not feeling well mentally, and you try and take it out on the market, but the market at the end is bigger than all of us, and so it will correct us. We will have losing trades. So that mental side of trading, right? A lot of people will say trading is 20% technical and 80% psychological, because a lot of days it can be psychological warfare. I mean, you're coming into this market, there's a lot of moving parts going on, a lot of things happening, but you yourself is always going to be your biggest strength and your biggest weakness, right? This kind of reminds me of the Green Lanterns in the for those of you who might be into the DC comics, where they have this ring. The ring grants them power, but the wielder, right, the user of the ring, is their biggest strength and their biggest weakness. And I feel like trading is a lot similar in that aspect when it comes to the individual, right? Because we have to be honest with ourselves. We need to know where we're at mentally, physically, spiritually, right? We need to know where we are once we're coming into the market, because the trading itself is already so hard. So if we're a little subpar than where we need to be, we need to take that day off or take a step back, reduce the share size, and know that, hey, I need to just be better for tomorrow. Take that rest, and then come back again, right? So a lot of trading is psychological. Once again, you come in with that game plan, you get punched in the face by the market. How are you going to react? Are you going to stay cool, calm, and collected? Are you going to get a little bit more frustrated? Are you going to lose your center of balance and fall off, right? Because when that happens, there's a lot of things that can snowball and go wrong, from revenge trading, chasing stocks, chasing entries. A lot of things can go terribly wrong when we lose our zen, right? When we lose our center of gravity. So, those are a couple of things, right? There's a couple of things. There's definitely a lot more to go over. And this is not to scare anybody off, right? This video here is not to scare anybody off who might be considering coming into day trading, but you definitely want the real take from somebody who's going through the process, who's now finally reaching the other side of the mountain, right? Seeing those consistent green days. So know that trading is not easy. It never was. It never will be, right? I say that every single day before the live stream starts at 9:15 a.m. I say that every single day during the warm up there before you open, right? So trading is not easy. It never was. It never will be. So you have to know that when you're getting into this field, it's going to take consistency. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take hard work. A lot of days you have to come back and study the charts, right? Look over what you did on the day, see where you can improve. Trading is beautiful in the sense that it grants us freedom. It can grant us financial freedom, freedom of having a boss and all of that good stuff, freedom of time. But we also, on the other side of that, need to put in the work to get there, right? It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to challenge you mentally. For me, even after being profitable, I always talk about this October month of 2020. After an amazing summer, an awesome summer, October month comes around and boom, what I'm doing is just not working. I'm literally red almost every single day of the month. So how do you go from being green, in the summertime, doing, some of your best trading, to now what you're doing is not working at all, right? That's one of the things, or one of those many things that can challenge you mentally. I mean, it was not easy to go through that, right? I even had one of the guys here in the chat room telling me I should go and pray, right? So, and check out the chat room, right? Check out the chat room if you guys are interested. That'll be the first link in the description down below. But anyhows, you're doing so well, and then what you were doing last week, last month is not working this month, and you struggle. So a lot of it is adjusting on the fly, being able to adapt quickly, recognizing that the market is giving you X, Y, and Z, and so you have to change, slow down, and the key is to trade the market that you are in, not the market that you want to be in. And so I had a lot of denial in that month, asking myself, are you telling me I can't have a green trade? Yes, you can, but what you're doing now is not working. So look at what the market is giving you. It's like reading the defense in a sense. If you're comparing it to sport, look at what the defense is giving you and then adjust accordingly, right? Don't go headstrong and try and do anything crazy. Trading is for those people who can be patient, right? Can you be patient? Can you wait, right? Waiting your turn is always a key thing in this field, right? Being patient for trades, being patient for setups. And it's kind of crazy that happened to me, because before this, my longest stretch without taking a trade right before October was 3 weeks. I was able to go 3 weeks without hitting the buy button. And for whatever reason in October, once again, probably because coming off such a strong summer, I felt like I should have still been keeping up with those good gains. And, that got me into trouble. So, there's a lot of variables. And, one thing we got to be careful of is setting goals. Believe it or not, you want to set good goals, realistic goals, but setting certain goals can be the death of you, right? Can be a terrible thing for your trading. One of my worst red month ever was I believe May 2019, where I was setting a very high goal of $4,000 or $5,000 a month. Back then I was trading in a simulator, right? Setting a very ambitious goal, and the month is starting, the month is going, I'm behind on the goal, and I'm increasing my size to catch up. I'm doing X, Y, Z, breaking rules, all because I want to keep up with a certain pace and tally, things that don't make sense. So, there's a lot of those kinds of smaller things that will affect your trading, right? And so for me, I have to realize, what? Instead of trying to set those kinds of goals, what if my goal is to try and do better than I did the previous day? How about I try and do better than I did on the previous trade, right? And so that kind of a thing changed my mindset when it comes to setting goals that are too ambitious and too big and too grand, because there is such a thing in the market, right? We want to always keep an eye on our realm, because each trader is in a different space and time when it comes to account size and experience, right? So another thing is to not get yourself in trouble, is to not watch what other people are doing in chat rooms or on YouTube or anywhere else, right? We're all in a different space and time with experience and our account size. That will help you with FOMO, right? Which is another thing that's such a problem for a lot of traders, right? Fear of missing out, seeing people doing well, and feeling the need to do better, or even missing out, or even if they're not looking at other people, looking at themselves. It's like, man, I missed out on that trade. Why didn't I capitalize? Guess what? If you can do a little bit better on the next stock that is very similar to that breakout or price action, if you can do better the next trade or the next day in a similar situation, you will feel that growth, you will see that growth, you'll be a little bit more content next time. And then again and again and again, if you fall back, you improve, and again and again. So there's a lot of variables in trading. There's a lot of different things, and I can keep going on and on and on and on and on. And I'll go over a few more topics before I end this video. But there's a lot of different things that makes trading difficult, right? That makes trading risky. So we all are managers at the end of the day, right? We all are managers who have to manage risk accordingly to our own profiles, right? Once again, different space and time with account size and everything else, right? And experience. So we all have to manage our accounts on a personal scale, right? A personal level. Know what you can risk, know what you can do, know your risk before going into trades. These are things that make that some traders have issues with, that makes it so difficult for them, is that they don't understand the risk before entering a trade. Before you hit the buy button, you need to know how much money you can lose on any given trade. And for me, or let's say likely to lose, right? Because the market can be unpredictable. You might be expecting to lose 10, 15 cents, and then it drops 50, 60 cents, a dollar. You know, one of those things of the uppercut again. What are you going to do? So that happens. You now fall back to the rules. Whenever a stock drops on you unexpectedly, what is your rules? My rules is to sell immediately. Some people will hold through the pullback. If that's your rule, that's fine. But you just have to follow your rules in terms of what works well for you, right? So a lot of it is going to tie around discipline, mental state, the psychological side of trading, the mental side, the warfare side of it all, when it comes to trying to be your best self every day and making mistakes, because we are humans and we have flaws and we make mistakes. So when you're trying to be perfect, but you can't be perfect, how do you manage that, right? What is the golden line in the middle of that concept right there, right? And for me, it's to be hard on myself, but not too hard on myself, to review, right? To review, see where I went wrong, and try and be a little bit better. So day trading is not easy. Once again, it never was, it never will be, but it is possible, right? It is possible. We've seen people in the community do it. They're doing it every single day. Believe it or not, some people will think that the gains are not real, but you know, it's all up to the person to believe, right? What you see, seeing is believing. And so when you see people doing it, when you see certain strategies working, when you're starting from set point and then you're improving, you're seeing progress. Because I remember in the sim, going back, about a year and a half, 2 years, right? Well, 2 years, I remember being red. Then I remember I came to a point where I stopped losing money, so I'm going sideways. I'm still red, but I'm now going sideways in the sim. And that alone was such a victory for me, because if they're saying 9 out of 10 people lose money, but I'm in the market and I'm no longer losing money, that means I'm very close to that next step, which is to start to see those winners, right? See that consistency and start to see profits. Dig myself out of the hole slow and steady, come back to that actual point of break even, and then from there, green. So know that if you're seeing progress, if you're working towards progress, it can be done, right? It can be done. We see all these people, to name a few of the bigger traders. We have Tim Sykes, Ross Cameron, Stephen Dux, some of the other ones, Humble Trader, Ricky. We have a bunch of people that are doing it, right? So, if they're doing it, if they kind of came up from from the bottom like everybody else who are beginners and now learning what it is to be a day trader, if they can do it, you can do it too. I can do it too. And that's how I've always felt about anything, right? When it comes to my approach and my mindset, if somebody can do it, I can do it too, if not even better, right? Because it's not a matter of comparing yourself to anybody, but just knowing that you're a competitive person on the inside. You can push yourself to limits, new heights. You can challenge yourself. A lot of that inner confidence can help you out with trading, despite it being so difficult, right? So know who you are, right? Know who you are. Can you trust yourself? I feel like that's the biggest key. Can you trust yourself each and every day when you come into the market to do what you know is right? That right there is a pretty powerful statement, right? Can you trust yourself? For me, I always like to think of it in this way, right? If not me, who? If not now, when? And so I come into the market every day knowing that despite there being a lot of variables, I see the consistency within all of it, and I know what I can bring to what intensity I can bring to the market to then try and capture some of those profits and pull it out each and every day, right? Not every day is a green day, but it can be done, man. It can be done. I did $30,000 year over year, May 1st, right, to May 1st. So if that can be done, and I did it in a way where, each and every day I'm noticing different things that I can be better with or better on. And so with that being the case, I'm seeing all this progress, and then the ceiling is just so high, right? So trading is hard, right? I wanted to go over that topic of day trading being difficult, but I also want to put that smidge there of hope and just knowing that it also can be done, right? So you got to be relentless, right? You got to be relentless. You got to stay consistent, stay disciplined, stay connected with the market. Over time, you will start to notice things as long as you're doing the work, right? As long as you're putting in the time. So once again, trading is not easy. It never was. It never will be. But it's possible. It can be done. Today, I'm up $316 in less than 1 hour right here at my computer screen, right? So know that it's possible. Know that in due time, if you're seeing progress, it can be done. You just got to stick with it. Keep continuing to be better. And it's all going to be worth it in the end, right? So day trading, we've covered some of the topics as to why it's so difficult. Once again, I can go on and on and on, but this will be an hour-long video. And I don't think a lot of us would want to be here for an hour, right? Unless I do a podcast style question maybe. But we've covered some of the topics as to why trading is so difficult. And I believe a lot of you will take out of this the variables, right? The variables within the market, the variables within ourselves, the variables within the particular strategies we're trading, and everything else, right? All the different mechanics. So with that being said, hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, be sure to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and of course, check out the chat room. First link in the description below. It's been Relentless Trader, and I am, of course, signing out.